Welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of the Jams and Tea Podcast's Record Club, where each week, after our main episode, which is already out now, if you haven't seen it, it's about the new Sufjan Stevens and Angelo Augustine collaborative album and the new album from Poppy. So go check that out if you haven't. But we review an album recommended by one of us each week. And this week, it is my recommended album, which is TobyMac's Welcome to Diverse City. Now, obviously, you as a listener, unless you heeded Tyler's advice the other day from our video and went to listen to it, probably do not know who this is or what this album is or what our big to-do has been about it, because we've been alluding to things about this album. So let me present this artist and my context for it thusly so that we can get into it. So TobyMac, who is a Nashville, Tennessee rapper. His birth name, Kevin Michael McKeon. He was a member of
Why would you, if your name wasn't Toby, why would you choose the name Toby? That makes no sense to me.
It's been bothering me for literal years, Tyler.
Kevin!
Yes, Kevin.
I mean, to be fair, Kevin's a pretty shit name, but also, like, why would you, Toby? Toby's like the most lame name you could possibly have.
Like, it would only be worse if he called himself Todd.
Oops.
Hi,
Anyway.
Todd. I'm Tucker.
Hi, Tucker. I'm Todd.
This is really set the tone for what this episode is going to be like. Anyway, Mr. TobyMac was a member of the hip hop collective DC Talk, which formed in around 1989. Him and two fellow MCs broke into the world of Christian hip hop. And, well, thing is that Toby here is a, count it, 7-time Grammy-winning artist who is basically, in his avenue of music, as popular as one can get. DC Talk was sort of the launching point for them to get radio hits. They were noted, they took a lot of the two main sites of inspiration, they said, for their music were Run DMC and Hall & Oates, which, okay.
Oh dear.
Yeah. But that was, and as I alluded to on this week, their first album is dated and rough and terrible. And the thing is, though, is that they were people who exist a little bit further away from frankly, the monolith of contemporary Christian artists, which is something I'm unfortunately familiar with because I grew up in Kentucky and I grew up in a very religious environment. And the way this particular album, which is one of Toby's solo efforts, by and large, I think considered his most successful and his most acclaimed. I don't think it has his most popular single, but this tends to be the album people know him for. Because he released his first album, Momentum, which I believe got a lot of hype, and then capitalized it on this. And
Toby's back!
Yeah, back to spit some fire. And the members of DC Talk are a little bit relevant because they do show up on this album and every album since. And basically, he's been somebody who, while overtly religious, is more really in the avenue of people who just sort of happen to make music about their faith and rather targeting a faith-based audience, which is why most Christian music is regarded the way it is because it's a bunch of corporate shills who are selling a brand and making bland, mediocre music because it fills up rock radio stations really well. So unfortunately, this is considered edgy by these standards, as funny as that may sound to you. But the how I was exposed to this album is that my best friend, when I was very, very young, his mother owned this on CD, and it was, without fail, every single time I was in that minivan, this album was playing. I have heard this album in its totality minimum 150 times. this like I saw this dude, my friend, like daily for years. So this album, like it or not, is embedded into my DNA. When I first got the idea to recommend this record, I went back and listened to these songs, and I was horrified to relearn the fact that I knew every note of these songs. It was genuinely a surreal experience. But I really wanted to show this to people because it's such a bizarre product of its particular niche that no one else has been exposed to. And I feel like it negates being like, is that for a lot of the bad music we talk about on here, is that it's something special when bad music also isn't super boring. And I feel like we can say a lot of things about this album and this music, but I think the last thing I would call this album is boring.
Oh, fuck no.
But yeah, the nostalgia might overwhelm me because I have a almost macabre fondness for this album, even though I think it kind of sucks. But I genuinely think that there was something to look at, if not musically, at very least comedically. And so I did a little background research on TobyMac, because when you hear the fact that he was a Christian artist, I think your first instinct is, oh God, what kind of horrible, heinous shit have they said politically in the past 20 years? Because boy, howdy, has that happened a lot. Thanks, Pure Flix and every Christian movie ever made for featuring the Newsboys. But the thing about TobyMac is that, by all accounts, this dude is a pretty cool guy. Thing is that he's, he like the bit, like if you Google TobyMac controversy, the funniest thing you get is that there's basically nothing. The only controversy he has is amongst Christians, because they were so paranoid in that 2010s period that he was sneaking satanic imagery into his album artwork. And because it had an eye on it, and they thought it was like the Eye of Horus. And there is a song on here that have lyrics that allude to the Illuminati. So naturally, when you hear that immediately, allude to, that are just the Illuminati.
Obliquely
but we'll get to that.
Reference the Illuminati if you really dig deep into it.
Yeah, it basically, he's known for being like, again, he's being like edgy. Like people, some of the like really hardcore Christians don't really like him because he's not as safe, he's not as palatable. But
he's too edgy.
Yeah,
he's too real.
I don't know about that. But the thing is that he's definitely influenced from a lot more outside music than like just contemporary Christian stuff. He was in a wave of artists such as Switchfoot and Jars of Clay, who were overtly religious, but they had crossover appeal. They could get over to normal mainstream rock radio pretty seamlessly. And he was at the forefront of that. And the dude is a nice guy. He recently, on one of his more like recent like music videos or something, alluded to having support for the Black Lives Matter movement. He's always been a proponent of, let's say it, kids, diversity. He's always been very, very steadfast in that role. He's been very, very much like, he takes an active effort to put people of color into his music, to feature them as often as he possibly can with a platform, which, can be read as being very facile. But, in this avenue of music, I really think you just kind of have to take what you can get. And the only other notable piece of context is, unfortunately, something very, very tragic and sad. That being that TobyMac's son, Truett, stylized as True Dog and later True, TRU, he guests on each one of Toby's albums for different songs, but he always has one song dedicated to him. And he's like a small child. He was born a year after me. So he was a small kid, and he's got these songs, and it's very much like My Dad's Gone Crazy on that Eminem album, very much that exact same energy. And he featured all of those. And he was making music and sort of around his late teens. And tragically, he did die of a drug overdose of fentanyl and amphetamines, which was around the time that he was starting to become his own musician. And he and Toby were still very close. They didn't really know what was happening. And Toby did actually release a single called 21 Years dedicated to his son, which is a genuinely pretty moving song. That sort of gets caught up in the fact that he was just so taken aback and by the suddenness of his death, and that he is sort of mourning the fact that it's like he had a really bright future ahead of him and that he loved him, and you know, it's sad. But back here, this is sort of him at his peak cultural relevance, and this album is just, when I recommend something like this is kind of like when August and I on the Rubber Gum Anime podcast, when we reviewed Future Diary, where I was genuinely concerned when I told August we should do it, because I was like, maybe this like is just going to be boring. So when everybody looks back on it, we won't have anything interesting to say. And then I listened to it again and I was like, nope, not going to have that problem, because this is... I will spare my thoughts just because I've kind of already said them, but I mean, we can break down so many different things. But I am curious, coming at it from the lens that you did. Obviously, you're not me, you're not Connor. This is a world that is very alien to you. These songs, I'm sure, like, I think, August, did you say you'd heard Gone before?
Gone is a very, I don't know for certain I've heard it before, but I am like beyond convinced I've heard it before, because Gone is a song. Yeah, it was very successful, and it is a song that I said this in the chat, and Jake will know exactly what I'm talking about, but this is like a peak like late 2000s Cartoon Network song that they would play like in the commercials before like Destroy Build Destroy or whatever.
Holy
this song,
shit.
If I didn't hear it there, I definitely heard it on the radio when I was younger, or something like that.
Yeah, so this is a bit different for you all. So, and I've acclimatized myself to a lot of its weirdness, even though I still went back and there's a lot of things to say. But I think the most interesting thing about going back to it is just that, like, there is just a surprising amount of stuff here, not like entire songs, but individual elements that I do kind of like, against my better judgment. Sometimes I think they're genuinely good. Sometimes I think that my enjoyment is just pure irony, just because, wow, some of this is real bad. But it's genuinely such a fucking manic record that's doing so many different things and taking on so many different genres and angles to try and sort of like push it to the peak of relevance, I think, at the time. So it ends up being this Frankenstein's monster that like no other contemporary Christian artist could hope to produce something this interestingly terrible. So yeah, you guys come at me. What are we dealing with here?
Well,
I still don't fucking know.
Yeah.
The best reaction I could hope for.
I guess I need to get into my personal initial reaction, which was, so picture me sitting here,
It's already funny.
I put on this album. I'm like, TobyMac, Jake has been hyping this up for a while. I need to hear this. And it opens with the song Hey Now. I don't know how I can say that in a way where it like conveys
the impact
of Hey Now as an opening track, because
hey
it's
now.
you're like, you get this Toby's back,
It's back.
I love that so
from
much.
this gospel choir, and the record does not let up.
Hey
from
gang,
there.
Toby's back.
Oh god, it's some
And,
Scooby-Doo shit.
Me as a devout worshiper of Chad Kroger from Nickelback, and not the god TobyMac is associated with. This was very. It made me realize just how out of the loop with Christian music I am in general, because the references to God are like, this is not the way anyone talks. No one just brings up God in every third like thought they have. This is not the way anyone functions, anyone operates, but that is the way TobyMac delivers this whole album to you.
It's so incredible that you are 100% right. And when it comes to the like empty, relentless God shit, he's easily on the more tolerable end of the sliding scale. And I don't know how to convey to you how genuine. That is like, it's true. I swear to God, it gets so much worse.
Look, I have full fucking faith in you because, like, in a sense, I on my first listen, I also really, the other thing that really immediately connected with me was like understanding why this has the crossover appeal it does, Gone in particular, where you're not like, you don't immediately hear the God stuff in every single track.
Yeah.
But in Gone particular, where it feels like a fucking punchline, where it's like, and then God saved her at the end of the song, and it's the funniest
fucking nowhere.
It comes
it's a
out
Blink 182 song for a minute and a half, and then all of a sudden it was just like, well, because Jesus. It's like,
and it's
what?
And it's the best shit ever, and that's this whole album, and it's great. I love it. So that's kind of my initial
exactly
thoughts.
The reaction I wanted.
It's music in the most literal sense.
Wiggly air.
And that's, you know, that's really all I can say for it.
I find it interesting, Morgan, because you and I grew up in similar environments. So I figured at some point you would at least have been exposed to something like this at some point.
I'm sure that I was. It makes about as much sense to me now as it did then.
Oh, I saw the hope just leave your eyes. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
that was disheartening.
It just fucking, ever since I was a child, like youth pastors and shit just fucking like repelled me. Like
this
I
has
found
big,
them
cool youth pastor energy.
It's just, oh, I hate it. Oh. No. And
in many respects, that's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, I said, fuck, I don't, you know, I have no doubt that this was made with the best of intentions. Yeah, that's
end of sentence.
Tyler, I've been waiting. Well,
this is a magnum opus. This is a very rare album, I think. I mean, exceptionally rare, because there are bad records, right? And there are awful, horrific, terrible records. There are the most, you know, utterly unforgivable pieces of trash that exist. And then there are records where, like, good and bad and all of these different, like, degrees of description on this polar axis don't matter. Like, they become restrictive. They become limiting.
Yeah.
You can't express the record through any superlative of any, you know, of any kind of general quality. You have to stand back in awe at the totality of it. I think you have to just absorb it into your bloodstream. I think you certainly don't have to. I'll make that clear. But if you want to, I guess, understand it, or I don't know, want to make a fucking video on it, then you do have to. You do have to kind of do that. And I think when you do, TobyMac's grand design and his grand vision for a utopian America and world becomes utterly fascinating and inspiring and hopeful and genuinely moving, I think, in a lot of ways.
The whole world is his diverse city, really.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of stuns me that it's taken. I mean, 2004, this comes out. Post 9/11 world, we're talking right here. We're talking a broken America that this emerged into. And at a time where there was so much hostility between people of various cultures, people of various groups, whether you're black, white, green, yellow, all of this absolute just anger and tension in America and across the world in the wake of not just 9/11, but just the general state of the world at that point in time. The glorious glow of the 90s had faded and soured, and we were existing in a landscape of utterly heretical rock music that goes against the foundational values that the country was founded on. And so really, more than ever at this point in time, I think you can see why America needed TobyMac. America needed a man like TobyMac to come along and to provide a beacon of hope to a broken nation, and to remind everyone of the comfort and power and glory in God that I think a lot of people nowadays in our society tend to forget.
Who the fuck are you?
We have turned Tyler into a QAnon apologist.
Where the hell I am?
And so we have to talk. Yeah. I think, again, as I say, the superlatives that you could lavish upon a record like this really do very little. And so I think we have to start digging into these songs and start examining what it is that Toby is trying to do, what it is that Toby is trying to communicate. And I think sometimes when you have an artist like this, who I think is trying to cover so many bases, who's trying to create such a grand statement, it can take a little time to absorb all of the things that Toby is trying to communicate. But I mean, you get straight swinging out the gate with Hey Now, which is an absolutely propulsive opener.
Back from the dead on the sleeper done slumbering.
Right on.
Pass me the mic. Hey, I might stop mumbling, crumble like a cracker, I fall like a leaf. I fucking hate. I don't even have the fucking lyrics page open. I hate that. This is a peculiar song because it simultaneously shows you what is both great and terrible. To abandon to superlatives, it kind of cancels. They kind of cancel each other out. It's you sort of had this record that was on the, like, it's a album that's following up a big success, so naturally Toby's back, serving up the sequel. He's going to dedicate it to all of God's children, and good gosh golly, he doesn't waste any time. So fucking
all right, look, I'm don't worry, I'm gonna drop the bit now. It had to be the way I began that.
No,
but no, because I do want to actually talk about the music itself and what is happening here. One thing that I love, and this is just a little detail that I got from the shameful amount of time that I've spent on the Genius page for these songs. I don't just to have the words in front of me so I could read them without having to actually listen. One of the things that one of the just little details that I love is that in the credits along the sidebar, you have obviously the people who've worked on the record, you have the recording engineer, the mastering engineer, the mixing engineer, and you have these two additional credits that I love. One is engineer, additional Pro Tools engineering.
Yeah, I noticed this.
And then the second is engineer assisted in additional Pro Tools engineering. Which are the two most hilarious album credits I've seen in a long time. And the reason I bring them up is not to say, haha, produced with Pro Tools equals bad. I'm not Rick fucking Beato. I don't give a shit, right? But the thing about Welcome to Diversity is that this is the most plastic album I've heard in a long time.
Oh my gosh.
Like the thing that I remarked on the first time I heard it was how actually production wise and just generally in terms of sound, I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting something. What I wasn't expecting was something that sounds as slick and polished as this does. I just was expecting something that sounded like, dog shit in the conventional sense of, like, barely audible
snare, hi-hat.
Yeah, but this is
type beat.
This is produced like it's produced like a late 2010s pop record would be produced ironically in this way, but it's done with sincerity, and it gives a real slickness to this music. I mean, I don't know how TobyMac's other records sound, but at least here it's very clear.
Fucking awful. Everything after this album is EDM'd to shit, and it sounds like Chainsmokers if it was somehow wider.
Wow. Well, the thing is,
that's a compelling description.
the slickness actually makes this, even though it is like a slickness to a garish fault, and I'm going to use that word garish a lot when I talk about this album. It does make it a more palatable listening experience than I was expecting it to be. And I've listened to this album 3 times now. And yes, there's a certain point on the album that comes, it doesn't take too long to arrive, but there's a certain point in the album where you do begin to lose the will to live. But I think in terms of things that we have reviewed,
I mean, let's just be frank. It was the first 30 fucking seconds. Well, you know,
hang tight. In terms of things we've reviewed,
don't tell me what to do.
In terms of things we've reviewed, I think there's probably a decent handful, maybe even like at least 10 that were more unpleasant listening experiences than this. Like, this is by no means one of the most unpleasant listening experiences I've had.
This doesn't even hit my bottom 30.
And look, and you know what I think is that I actually enjoy the first 3 songs of this record quite a bit.
I love that. I love that so much.
And look, it's complicated. So you have the opening track, which I think is again, it's that garishness that immediately kind of just smacks you in the face. It makes you laugh your ass off. Like the first time I heard it, like immediately I was just like, you can't not laugh.
Back from the dead.
There's just so much happening here. Like it's so what? It's like there's these busy drums, there's these horns, there's these layers
an acoustic
of vocals.
Guitar.
Yeah, and they generally sound pretty good. Like I think that things are for the most part, these things were layered pretty well and recorded reasonably well. And actually, I'm like, when I go into this, I'm like, fuck, this is actually, I don't know what I was expecting, but this is kind of better than I was expecting, to be honest. I think that opening track is like a good way of getting you into the album and getting you accustomed to what you're going to get without really being too much of a slap in the face. And yes, I will concede that the cheap and cheesy sitar that opens Catchafire is, how would you describe this? I would say threatening. But thankfully,
you can also just say mildly racist because it feels
you
like
and your friends are all racist.
It's credit to Mr. Mac. It's more complicated than that because to give him credit, that awful sitar gets chopped up and then eventually just disappears completely from the song, which is whatever. And it settles pretty quickly into what I would term like a Eminem show by way of encore era Eminem pop rap goofiness.
Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of love it. I like it.
It's a lot better than encore Eminem. A lot.
I think having that context as well makes me appreciate this a little bit more, because if we were just talking about goofy, garish, bad pop rap, there's a lot more effort put into this than what Eminem was doing in that time. And maybe that's just my lack of reference points, but I can only really compare it to that. But I think there's a lot of legitimately, unironically, a lot of heart and soul in this.
There is,
and genuine kind of candor and silliness that I feel like I don't want to give Toby the credit of saying that I think he's fully self-aware of what he's doing, but I think that he kind of on some level appreciates and relishes in the ridiculousness of it all. I mean, the whoopsie daisy.
This song specifically was the second I knew I had to make this a record club, because I was just like, what is this?
That's the thing. I'm convinced. You cannot convince me otherwise that he does not have at least a degree of self-awareness about this, because I don't think there's any way a human can like earthly produce whoopsie daisy without leaning into the cheese and knowing they've gone too far.
So this is kind of like Toby's, I guess, ode to reggae and dance hall, and as the
cover might imply.
Yeah, exactly, as the cover. Yes.
The Rasta colors are striped across his face.
I mean,
oh my gosh, that cover's so fucking amazing.
Anyway,
what is he doing?
This does deliver on the promise of that cover. And I think that like with the opening track, this is the record at its most committed to ballistic wildness. Like, again, I say, what is happening when I listen to
he
this?
screams and he just goes, I fucking lose my mind. When you are 7 and you have not heard a good song in your life, this shit goes so hard in the whip.
And also, like, something else that might get overlooked as well is this record has some interesting features on it. I use that word loosely. Actually, no, I don't. That's not even a right word to use at all. It has some features on it, and
that's more appropriate.
The first that pops up here is MOC, who has a few lines that I can only describe as just incomprehensible in the sense that, like, I'm just going to read this to you. It's 4 bars. Spark to a flame. I'm flipping up my game, right? So he's established that he is comparing himself to fire and to like igniting. And I mean, so that's the clear idea visually that MOC is laying down here on the top of these bars. I caught the fire and I'll never be the same. There we go. He's building that idea of him as this kind of huge flame that's swelling, and the way that metaphorically represents his ascent into greatness.
Perhaps something like a phoenix even.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rebirth like Christ.
And so you see the sheer vision of, I mean, it's quite a complex. I don't know if it took me a couple of lessons to get my head around this visual idea, but I think I've got it now. So he's ascending like a flat, like he's a wildfire even. You could say that MOC is causing mass destruction to everything around him.
Like a burning bush, if you will.
Absolutely. Exactly. So, and then it's the third line in this 4 little bit of a quadrant is interesting. So unexplainable, I can't contain it, son. So this is a curious development because we've moved from this quite clear idea of him understanding himself as this fiery force that's ascending, and now he's I suppose reckoning with the effect of that on his psyche and the fact that he can't contain the fire. It's going out of control. Like, his talent is so huge that it's bigger than him. And then he ends the verse with, and my retaining it would only be a shame. So we've gone from I'm a flame and I'm flipping up my game to what have I become, my sweetest friend?
Hey, you know what, bro? Fucking having to deal with the toll this takes on your fucking same, bruh. I'm right there with you at this point.
I'm also 80% certain that MOC is a woman.
Oh.
I'm fairly certain.
Wait, we can look this up.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't remember the verse in question.
Good for her. Girls.
It's probably because you might know the third verse in this.
So, yeah, and I'm getting to that. So the next part, so to Toby's credit, he commits so fully to his, weird Jamaican pastiche by bringing on an actual Jamaican rapper, Papa San, who adds this really surprising flavor to the song when he shows up and says noises with his face. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's kind of racist.
The scream introducing his name drives me crazy. It's like they just hold on the A in Papa San for like a second too long for it to be like, are they okay? Did they need to be taken off stage? Did they need to get out of the booth because they were just spitting such hot fire?
Mm.
And then this motherfucker comes on and it's just like, what are you saying?
Like, let's break this down to where even Genius and every place on every lyrical source I've checked has no idea what he's saying either. I can't find a single reference point online for what this verse is.
And you know what I think that's representative of is what Toby's getting at with this idea of in the wake of 9/11 and this poisoned America, our lack of ability to understand and truly communicate with people from different cultures.
It's a real Tower of Babel imagery, honestly.
Yeah,
and the Twin Towers are the towers of Babel, and the planes are God's hands.
The fact that we can't understand what Papa San is saying, I think, is quite representative of the fact that a lot of Americans and people in general were unable to understand the experience of The slam comes next.
Oh my fucking God, the slam. Oh my
Slam.
God.
So I'm so grateful this song exists.
God is in the spot, whether you like it or not, motherfucker.
That to me, one of the most iconic opening lines of the 2000s. I think the first time I heard that, despite the fact that it had been referenced in isolation by you and Connor and other people before, it still hit me like a freight truck when it came. And this song, I think, I mean, in terms of this record's ridiculousness, I think this is one of the moments where it just goes so full hog into it with just absolutely over the top.
It's Limp Bizkit. It is literally Christian nu metal.
The way I would describe it is like a Weird Al parody of Rage Against the Machine.
110%. My God.
And truly, it does feel as though he is channeling the Christ story and the imagery of Christ to make a truly bold and quite powerful statement that no matter how hard you try to escape the creator, he will always be, as Toby says, in the spot, whether you're ready to accept that or not.
He will bring it like it ain't been brung.
And look, I think when T-Bone comes in and makes the astute observation that the father slammed it like Shaq for Latinos and blacks, I'm more aware than ever of how much we truly have in common as a people on this planet. And indeed, when Boney Soprano himself makes this point, I have no choice but to bow in respect, because I understand more clearly than ever what unifies us as a people.
He said, repent, the kingdom of heaven can be yours, parentheses, distant shouting. What?
Oh God, the ad-libs on this record.
The ad-libs
so
are
good.
So just
bringing sexy back. Yeah.
My God. There will be moments where he'll be like, I don't even have examples because I can't think off the top of my head, but there's moments in this record where he'll be like rapping real seriously or whatever. Or it'll be the other way around. He'll be rapping real goofily. And there'll be an ad-lib that he throws in that's completely like a tonally so different from vocally, completely different from whatever he's doing. And it's just like, it's like a slap in the face every time that happens.
You didn't even, by the way, the full set of bars here. The father slammed it like Shaq for Latinos and blacks, packing them straps, and Caucasians hooked on ecstasy and crack, stacked the sins of this world to his body and conquered evil and hell, then snatched the keys of death in one breath and unlocked the cell.
You know what?
I cannot decide if that is amazing or awful.
He's making the great point that I think Reagan tried to make, that drug abuse and the sins of falling into the vices of your own addictions are really what brings us all to hell. And I think that someone needed to say it. And I think that T-Bone is bold and powerful for really putting it out there, that being addicted to ecstasy and the crack is truly what brings us down as a nation, as a world nation. Obviously, I'm not American, but they
came from the cities and towns all around. And this is my favorite thing about this set of lyrics here, which is they describe Jesus as the long-haired preacher from the desert getting down, which always never fails to me picturing Jesus Christ himself in a mosh pit going absolutely ham to some shit like this.
It's a beautiful piece of imagery,
evocative. It gets the people going.
Mm-hmm.
This is the really slam. This is the one.
I wish I had the strength, the moral fiber to commit to this bit. I can't.
It's good that Morgan is displaying this, because these first three songs, as Tyler's alluded to, they may almost be overwhelming. They might be too much. So thankfully, sequencing wise, the record has blessed us, like Christ himself has blessed his followers, with an interlude to break up the sections of the album in the form of Poetically Correct, which contains maybe the single ugliest G-Funk synth I've ever heard in my life as the backing beat.
I can't fucking believe we're only 3 songs through this.
I don't know what the fuck she is talking about here, but it starts with fresh air, sigh, it's what I needed. I ventured through my door, proceeded into the streets of this place. I had to lower my shades to shield my face, still squinting from the glare. What I saw was unfortunately rare. I rolled up on a variety. The sight moved my heart deep inside of me. 10 cents, that's it. And this is fun because if you all don't know what the concert scene for the Christian rock thing was in the 2000s, she describes it perfectly with, I heard some cats rocking mics, saw mad stunts on BMX bikes, sons and daughters standing for their rights, a city scene lit well through the night, tilted trucker hats with tats, hitting hi-hats, pinstripe cellared suit. And that's the mad new truth.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm serious. I only just realized that this song was not called Politically Correct.
No, you're gaslighting.
And that's not even Toby's fault. Like, I've just been so conditioned to expect, like when I see this, the general shape of those words, it's just politically correct in my mind.
Of course.
Because of the time that we live in. And so I just wasn't.
It says a lot about society.
It says a lot about our society.
Specifically.
But yeah, and so duly noted. And then we go to Atmosphere, which is just fucking the most boring fucking song in the world. I can't fucking stand this song.
I kind of like this song. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that's on you. I can't.
I know. I've had to live with it.
It's easily
I've
one
done
of my
my
favorites.
waiting. 12 years of it.
Because it feels like at this point in the album, it feels like a puppy humping your leg instead of being hit by a semi truck. So
it's like it gives me the same feeling that the sex scenes in The Room give me to experience. It's just this unbearably cloying smooth jam. Let me tell you something. The things I enjoy most about this record are the parts where it's so ridiculous and in your face, but also like you can kind of see the seeds of what is so thrilling about like the goofiness of it all. When this record tries to be serious, like when this record really tries, in any sort of sense, whether it is kind of just making this more sort of jammy track or mulling on society in some really significant way, when the record tries to do that, it loses so much of the joy of, for instance, those first 3 songs, which obviously have some societal themes in them, but like are so ballistic that they don't dominate those songs. But Atmosphere and simply just being a smooth jam with very little substance or meaning is infuriating, because I'm like, what I was enjoying or like getting, I don't want a song that's unironically good on a record like this, because that just makes me more mad. All right. And we're going to get to the next song in a second and talk about my complicated feelings. But when I get what you guys are saying in the sense that objectively, this is one of the least, I guess, I don't know,
assaultive.
Yeah. But like that makes me, I can't make this make sense, but I don't care. I don't
make
care.
Sense because Morgan made this exact point when we reviewed 1X by 3 Days Grace, when he said that your favorite track on there is one of his least favorites, precisely because it was more traditionally good and it didn't feel in keeping with the rest of the record. So that I understand. Like, I get it. That said, I just like the beat on Atmosphere. It's spacious and it's a little vague, but it's pretty sounding and I like it. And the thing is, we haven't really mentioned Toby as like a presence. Like lyrically, he leaves a lot to be desired. However, I'm gonna put my flag in the hill. I don't think he's a bad rapper. In fact, I think he's pretty good. He's got good flows. He's got pretty solid delivery. he really like, and he's a lot better than he was on the first DC Talk album, but he has a sense of melody and rhythm that I think carries him through the fact that these songs are so anodyne and one note that I think it works. Oh, Jesus. I just now saw the screen change.
I know
I'm
you
terrified.
keep a journal and every page is rippled from the tears that you cry. Ain't no meaning to your scribble, 'cause words can't describe what you've been feeling inside. It's like 1,000-foot walls and they're still on the rise. But look up to a beautiful sound and see for yourself. You're not that far down. And know this, I cannot love a little. My promise to you is unconditional. I
used to think that lyric was, it's like 1,000 footballs and they're still on the rise. So when I'm imagining this song, I just imagined 1,000 footballs in the air in a parabolic arc at their apex.
And just to like talk about that thing that August mentioned earlier about like the religious references being assaultive when they happen, like in the second verse of the song, where again he's talking about like, you know, relating to this person, this girl who's so lonely and tortured and toiled, and that he's kind of like, the light can't touch any part of your soul, and you know, you get a sense, hang on, wait a minute, hold up and let the river rush in. You can turn around and start living again, because your life is a beautiful bloom in the image of the one that created you. And we're back to Jesus. And it didn't, and this one, because I know what August means about when they sneak up on you on songs like Gone, which I'm going to get into momentarily, but this one broke me. This one really broke me, because it's not even just a I'm there for you fucking love jam or whatever. It's an I'm there for you, and also Jesus is there for you.
No, see, Tyler, in my many listens to this song, which I did listen to on my own because I do question it in terms of the sound. The thing is, Tyler, if you look at these verses in its totality, it's not even that.
I know. I just figured it out. I just figured it out.
He's writing from the perspective of God.
Jesus.
It's literally what he's doing.
He's holy shit.
Literally.
No, yeah. What's this? I mean, this album actually reminds me a lot of the preachers I see here on campus a lot.
Oh yeah.
In that they will like approach you with what seems a sensible conversation, and then just bring up the fact that they worked for a ministry like a couple sentences into your conversation. And it's like, well, you just fucking ambushed me with that.
It's
Thank
like,
you.
Yeah, August, much. I really get what you're saying. Also, do you know if you're going to go to heaven or hell when you die?
Yeah, and so this encapsulates why I hate this song, is that it's a betrayal. Like it tells you it's going to be, it lets you think it's going to be something relatively harmless and fluffy, and then it twists the knife with an actually Jesus, and not even just an actually Jesus, and actually
I'm Jesus.
It was Jesus all along. Like,
it's me, Austin. It was me all along.
Like that to me is evil. It's evil. It's you're going to hell.
Speaking of evil.
Yeah, speaking of evil.
So fucked.
Gone. What in the fuck was this?
So yeah, I think we must start with your aforementioned Blink 182 comparison with this song, where
it's just a Blink song.
It sounds so out of place in the rest of the album too.
Even compared to the fact that no song on this album really sounds like each other, this is just like, wait, what shitty Christian pop punk album did this come off of?
Like, at least like a track like The Slam, I can see where the idea springs from in his head, like how this comes from the same mind of this same man. Gone feels so, it feels like it's pulled from a different album entirely, from like, who made this? It's so confusing.
So before we recorded this, I Jake predicted that this would be my least favorite song on the album. Jake predicted this would be my least favorite song on the album. And I'm so thrilled this has happened because hilariously, this is my favorite song on the album. In fact, this is actually my favorite song on this album. You were like the opposite of right. So
I told the girl that you should treat her like a lady, and
this song,
one might say that the opposite of right is wrong.
Yes, I know. I said the opposite of right just to make it like even more funny.
I just feel like I'm fucking. I'm having a stroke.
Look, and I'm just going to maximize the chaos just for fun by saying that I think this song is legitimately kind of good. I like it against my better judgment.
This is me with atmosphere. Morgan.
let me clarify here. I think good,
like you said at the beginning,
by the standards of this record and its musical tradition. It is a mid-tempo, pop-punky, high school sort of jam, Avril Lavigne sort of type beat.
She told me all the things you did, and it was shady, man.
It sounds like so early 2000s to the extent that it almost sounds like I can only the thing that's funniest about it is that it's so like late 90s, early 2000s that I can only imagine that in 2004 it probably would have been outdated even then. But it is the closest, and I think Connor, our friend Connor, has expressed this as well. It's the closest this whole album has to a sound that I typically unironically enjoy, and so I'm kind of grateful for its existence.
He's doing a Tom DeLonge impersonation.
It's
literally what he's doing.
He is, and
he's actually impersonating him pretty well.
He is. There's again, like I on the rating site, I gave the song a 7. So that's the level of like I'm at, just to be clear.
Yeah, that's what I gave atmosphere.
So, but look, I think he does a pretty decent job on the hook, although he does audibly strain his voice in a way that's actually kind of unintentionally hilarious. And this is beautifully emblematic of the album, is that me giving him a compliment, but then immediately tempering that with a criticism about the same thing. But yeah, he does do a pretty decent job overall. The bridge, although that said, the bridge where he gets into his softer sort of Rivers Cuomo-ass register and the band is sort of chugging along in, Weezer-esque fashion.
That like lazy guitar strumming just...
Yeah, and this is the part, incidentally, where he does that thing where it's the actually Jesus part, where it's like she said it's gonna be all right because God made a way through the pain and he opened her eyes.
When I first heard that, it was transcendent. At least on this listen, because it's like you've done it, you've broken me.
There's a distinct art here too, because like the portrait that he paints, it's not even that like, break up and then she found Jesus. It's that it's so funny. It's like he's negging this girl at the beginning. It's like, oh, you were looking at, and I quote, them blingy rings, which
literally the very first line, I told the girl that you should treat her like a lady. Like that immediately conjures up this image of him sitting with this girl being like, he doesn't understand you. He doesn't treat you the way that you should be treated. You need a real man.
Alexa, play Gaslighting Abby by Steely Dan.
How dare you?
I did that
you don't get to say how dare you, Tyler. You said you unironically like this song.
That's true.
Fucking sign. God.
Okay, look. Well done.
Steely Dan.
Let me hopefully regain a little bit of composure and sensibility here by talking about the title track on this record. And I need to be absolutely clear here. This is the biggest piece of shit I have heard all year. I fucking hate this song. I don't even enjoy the ridiculousness of it in any sense. It is an actively angering piece of music. Here, the polish of the production sounds downright sterile. The mix itself is nothing more than a collage of ugly sounds in almost total conflict with each other. It is absolutely impossible to envision this as anything other than self-parody, considering the content, especially these lyrics. The Daft Punk-esque talk box vocals are melting agony like a speak and spell being lobbed into a volcano. I can't stand this song, and it makes me physically convulse with rage every time I have to listen to it. Fuck this song, and fuck TobyMac for making it.
It's so funny because this song reminds me of like a parallel universe, ultra sterilized version of the song I by Kendrick Lamar. It has the exact same swing and groove. It has the exact same energy. It's so fucking bizarre, man. Like, and yet every part of it, even though it reminds me predominantly of a song that I love, it sounds so bad. Oh my God. What the and then of course it gets to the inevitable fucking, it's just like if you, what is the fucking lyric? If you want to praise, you can come on down because this freak show's leaving the ground.
Oh my gosh, that delivery is so horrendous. It's like
this is really funny to me because
I know what you're gonna say, Morgan.
I think this song is bad, but it's not like very much worse at all than anything else here.
Exactly, Morgan. This is the magic, man, of this fucking album.
It's like looking into the mirror of Erised and Harry Potter. You see entirely different things when looking into Welcome to Diversity.
Fucking like, and the fucking flow he's got on here in that first verse, the up and away, baby, we don't play. Maybe you thought we was done for the day. He said, she said, I said this. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Oh my God. It's so fucking funny. And this is like, I'll let you speak, August, but this to me, I can't elaborate it. Like, for everything that Tyler just said about this is true, and that is completely why I unironically kind of enjoy this song. And this I'm going to bring back a bit, as Tyler once said when we reviewed the notoriously terrible album by the Shags, Philosophy of the World. This song,
Tyler beginning to look like I have the whole fucking review.
This song is the cure for depression. It is so fucking funny. I laugh at everything in it.
No, yeah. I love the guitars on this song. They sound terrible. They sound like shit. Like, and I mean that's kind of a point we've alluded to generally, is that TobyMac at points on here is only like a stone's throw away from making like Christian nu metal, which I think is really it's so funny to me because the album feels like it's on the verge of devolving into like a shitty rap metal, nu metal, Limp Bizkit,
rap rock.
Yeah, like Limp Bizkit fucking bullshit. And yet it always it holds its ground, which I think is the most fascinating part about it. Like he never goes to the corniness or like the absolute stupidity of like just unbearableness of like a fucking, I don't know, like a Nickelback or some shit. He stays in his lane of absolute absurdity, and he keeps pushing for it, and it's kind of incredible.
It's like he's driving on like the side of the road on the interstate that's not quite a lane, but if you're a dickhead, you pull out in it and drive past all the people in traffic. That's the lane TobyMac is in. It is not occupied by anyone else, and he has no interest in sharing it with anyone. But by God, he is speeding down that freeway at 90 miles an hour
in a getaway car, if you will.
I just want to say, we can move on to the next song, but I just want to say another one of the things that really upsets me about this title track is that fucking Bootsy Collins is on this song. The fucking legendary Bootsy Collins is on this song, doing ad-libs, adding the most inane repetitions and characters, that fucking Goss Basilio shit at the end of the song. Goss
Basilio.
Look, I get what Morgan is saying, and that I understand that I do feel genuinely that this is substantially worse than anything else on this album in very tangible ways, in the sense that, yeah, there's a commonality of ridiculousness between this and something like Gone or The Slam or whatever. But there is an absolute, I don't know, there's a fun in those songs. There's a lack of total seriousness. The really preachy parts you are either just a small part of the song or there's enough else happening to overlook. Whereas this song is just complete 100% front to back opus of, I mean, it's literally got, I mean, I've made a joke about this before, but it's literally got the line, if you're black, if you're white, if you're yellow or gray in it. And that's like only parody shit. Like that's like a bad joke, a bad racist joke. Not even like, and it's totally unironic here. And it makes me, they call us diverse city. We're colorful good. What does that mean? What are words? Colorful good is we're colorful good to me is the same as just saying racism bad. Like it's not actually taking an idea that you have and actually making it, expressing it in any way. It's literally just throwing buzzwords out. And I don't know. I feel like a fucking fool for even getting offended at the self-righteousness of this song in particular. But it just drives me wild. And I wish I could explain why, I guess, in a way that's more sensible. But and obviously it's not just the lyrics. It's just generally, it's not just the lyrics either. It's just generally the fact that I think this is the worst instrumental on this record by some margin as well. Like it's just utterly, I mean, again, those talkbox vocals are, I want to sand my nuts every time I listen to those. It's just so bad. I can't.
I think for me, it's really just that, like, for as bad as the individual parts sound, when it all comes together, it's a bit too like lively and carefree for me to get down with. Like the whole, like all the lyricism is just wallpaper to me anyway at this point, just because I've heard this album so much, so I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'm willing to go with the madness. But I mean, you shouldn't feel bad for not being able to. That just means you still retain some modicum of sanity, frankly.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on then. So, down to the bottom. My God. I mean, look, it's better. It's better than that song.
Okay. Well, this has basically what I like to call a logic problem, which is a double entendre. But the fucking the premise of this song is like a round table of features from the album, and them all giving like a verse about how their love of God has pushed them through a particular struggle in their life. But it's one specific guest verse here that is fantastic to me because of his delivery.
Oh God, I know what you're gonna say.
It's the guy at the very end who talks about his mother getting cancer. And like he starts, well, first of all, very important, this man sounds like a carbon fucking copy of Eminem. If you told me it was him, I would 100% believe you, especially when he starts yelling, but we'll get to that. But he starts off well enough. Been so many times that I've been close to rock bottom, trying to look for answers, but nobody's got them. Like the time my mother looked me in the eye, trying not to cry, telling me the cancer might cause her to die. And then immediately in the next part, he just goes, how could this be? I thought the God loved me. And then he's like screaming, so why would he try to take my mother from me? And as I cry myself to sleep at night, holding the pillow tight, he spoke to me and said, everything is going to be all right. And it's just like, first of all, this is so fucking facile that I don't know how you could get any kind of catharsis out of this whatsoever, but you do you, man. But the delivery, it's literally just the fucking the ad lib he does in the Suicide Hotline song where who can relate? Woo! It's literally just that. It's the same thing. God, it's so bad.
It's a bit better though.
So I mean, it's less offensive for sure. So put your hands up if y'all are feeling me, and put your hands up for everyone to see. And put your hands up. We all are family. So put your hands up. It's unity. It's unity. My favorite part of that whole verse is just his decision to phrase this line the way that he does. The cancer might cause her to die, like
as opposed to causing her to do something else, like go outside and play.
Like the cancer is gonna, like, it's not. I shouldn't really. I mean, a man's mother died, but it's like, it's like.
It's too bad nobody had that thought before.
The fuck releasing this record.
Well, yeah, but it's too bad. Who covered the God That Failed that sucked again?
Idols.
Oh yeah, it's too bad Joe Talbot didn't have the thought. A man's mother died.
Yeah, yes, that's the same thing. I will say this gets to the heart of a bugbear, I think, that happens with all Christian music, and is a testament to how this is so divorced from that fringe thing, but also is inescapably enveloped by it. And that, like, I don't have a problem with musicians, specifically Christian musicians, making music about their faith or about God. I enjoy it when it is interrogated substantively. Again, I'm not saying that every artist has to do it like this, but somebody like Kendrick Lamar, that's the point of a lot of his music, and he does it in he interrogates it. But on this album and in so much Christian music, all of it, the most concise way I can describe it is that it's all cope. All of it is cope. It's constant mindless reassurance that God loves you and that everything's going to be okay because of God. God, Jesus. And it's like, I want to give you all the benefit of the doubt here. And I don't doubt that you've gone through some tough shit, but the meaningless spewing of the name of the person you worship, and it's like, this is not a heal-all. Like, this is why I appreciate songs like The God That Failed, because it interrogates that in a way that's really, really interesting, in a way that's like, you know, it is self-aware and knows that this thing, like, it's not necessarily like going after religion as a concept. It's going about the way it can affect human beings. And I don't get a human struggle from any of this. Like, when they say, oh, I went through all this, but thankfully God loved me. And it's like, I don't feel anything because of that, man. Like, it's not because you make Christian music that I don't like it. It's because it's shallow. All of it, all across this record, every single time, God's the answer, God, the God this, God that. And it's like, sorry, but I would interrogate this concept like I would any other album in the history of ever, whether it was Christianity, whether it was any other religion, whether it was just an ideology that you had. I come at these from a way of like, I can't take this two-dimensionality. It's so, that's the worst thing about this album to me, is that once you, like, if you can say like, oh, I can get down in the whole like cheesiness and bullshit of this album, is that if you even want to try to appreciate it lyrically, even for how stupid it can get sometimes, is that thematically it all boils down to the exact same point. And like, I feel like they could do better. I really do. And they just don't.
Yeah. And that's why the God thing feels like such a punchline to me, because it is, this cure-all that is flawless and never fails, and he's always going to love you and forgive you, and it's going to make everything better, and sugar tits and rainbows. And
yeah, it's like, why even make music about it if it's that easy? Like, what's the point? Like, I don't get anything from your struggle here, man. Like, you want to promote, like, that's what Toby's mission statement is. He said in interviews that I've read, where he's just like, I want to share my music with as many people as possible, and I'm going to provide them as an inspiration with my faith. And I'm like, that's not how you inspire people, because people don't relate to people who don't have a defined struggle. You're not overcoming anything. You're just saying that this thing will save them. And it's like, man, come on. People can do this better. Johnny Cash did this better than you. Tons of contemporary Christian artists, Jason Isbell. People do this better than you. But then we go into, as Tyler mentioned earlier today, Megan McCain's favorite song, Burn For You.
For our listeners, the context for that is that this is the kind of song that I imagine someone, and this is not a Christian diss or anything, but certain kinds of American people who live this incredibly vapid, conservative lifestyle, I imagine this is the kind of song that makes them feel whole and makes them feel like they have a purpose each day when they get out of bed, because all of the suffering they experience in their lives is going to be rewarded because God has got their back.
The martyrdom complex in this song is so strong. Like, it's even worse than it is in songs like Down from the Bottom. Like this is just like, it's pure, like I like the instrumental well enough, I guess, but like it's definitely hard to get past the just sort of pity me attitude when it's like when you don't interrogate your struggle on this album separately. I don't know how to convey to you that when you don't do that and then you come on this and you're just like, oh, poor me, it's like, then it comes like from being like anodyne to just like actively irritating. It's like so many songs are about this and it's just like, I don't know what to tell you. And this is like this whole like Christianity and this whole like, oh, we're oppressed, we're going through this thing. It's like, to normal people and to like crossover audiences, it's like, this isn't enough, man. Like it's just because audiences, not to go full hog on this thing, it's just because I feel like there's an inherent doubt that most Christian people have in themselves and in their faith, and that they listen to this constantly to just affirm themselves. And that's what I said, it's cope, is that this is what this song feels like to me, is that it's just the insistence upon a point ad nauseum to justify their own suffering. And I'm just like, okay.
And then he does this high horse bullshit on Fresher Than a Night at the W.
Oh my God.
Which incidentally, like, I don't really give a shit about the high horse lyrical bullshit, like whatever. But the question I have is, why does this song sound like it does? I don't get it. It's awful. This is the television of this album. Like it's short.
Yes.
It makes no real sense. I don't know why it exists. I kind of find it offensive for reasons I can't fully articulate.
Like always pushing for that racial diversity. Leave us at home. We're at home in our fantasies. That's the album in 2 lines. Like always pushing for the racial diversity. Leave us alone. We're at home in our fantasies. That's it.
And there's like,
that to be fair, like that's him like being like doing the voice of his detractors, right?
Yes.
And it's like hilariously sort of missing the mark on what this album is, and like the just
and we've got the weird scatting as part of the beat where it's like,
yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
No. Which is he listened to Medola once.
I love this bullshit. Like, just
I know a guy who knows a guy who has brown skin. Once in a while, if it so happens, I'm around him. It's like that Toby's realized that like he has achieved the minimal level of white dude woke that he thinks he's like in with it, and then he's just like, this guy who says stuff like this, we understand, we get it.
Well, I need to, I guess, exert whatever piece of energy I have left into the next song on this record, because this is one of the most, at this point, right?
Oh my God.
We've done a good job, I think, of communicating the sheer confusion that this record inspires, but nowhere, I think, is that confusion more pointed and apparent than on Ilamai.
I don't know how to feel about this song, and I've had this album in my life for longer than I've known you guys. What is this song about?
The thing that gets me is I hate how much this song reminds me of 21 Pilots.
Oh my God.
Like, it sounds
Flow like the Caches, swing like the clay is absolutely a lyric they would have on a later album of theirs.
And look, I say this as someone who enjoys some of their music. It sounds a lot, this song sounds a lot like, it would slot right in on Blurry Face. Like, it just reeks of that era of 21 Pilots to me. And Toby even sounds a bit like Tyler Joseph on some of the verses of this as well.
Get flipped out and squeezed fresh like Juicy Sun-Kissed.
What are you saying?
What is important to understand about this song is that it is evidently a cover, which it is apparently a cover of a song from another band called Soul Junk on their album 1952.
Yeah. I love what Toby's statement about this song, which is that Ilamai was originally done by an artist called Soul Junk. And then he goes on to say that his references to the Illuminati are, I guess, speaking out against people who claim to possess superior enlightenment and are holier than thou. But he goes on to say that he wasn't really aware, like he didn't. He says, obviously, I've been made aware that there's supposedly a secret society called the Illuminati that dates back for years, but I don't know much about it beyond that. I know I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and that neither the song Ill Am I nor the album artwork was intended to refer to that usage of the word Illuminati. So he has to go on this extended, like, he's not done his research at all. And he has to go on this extended sort of apologia about how his song is not about the secret
I have
society.
literally, in trying to look up potential controversies for Toby, I came across multiple like Christian music blogs that were speculating about this. That is literally just like, checkmate, normal Christians. This is the Eye of Horus being snuck in to brainwash the children through Christian music. The Bible often speaks of people who will claim to represent the kingdom of...
The Bible often speaks of Nephilim, the great deceiver, who will come in the form of a man named TobyMac. Isaiah 17:12.
Revelation, more like. Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's what the lyrics on this sound like. It's just a fucking fever dream. Eruption type volcanics. I got the vocal Sportmatic. What?
I the first time I heard this song, I wanted to eat steel. Like, I didn't even laugh because I was so stunned. Some real like modern Eminem shit in verse 3 as well, when he does the whole savor. He does this weird rhyme scheme where he goes like savor, gave you, neighbor, going into labor. He does this thing where he does these, like, he emphasizes those parts of the bars and like in a different vocal tonality to the rest of the lines that they're in.
That's an awfully hot coffee pot.
And it sounds so much like modern Eminem that it drives me crazy.
I do windows on school days, spilled Jim Jones type Kool-Aid.
Oh my God.
What does that mean? What does it mean, Toby?
Is TobyMac admitting to genocide? is that what
TobyMac
doing?
did 9/11?
Did TobyMac do the Jonestown massacre?
I think that's what he's getting at here, personally.
I mean, yeah, that's all a really interesting reference point.
Is Morgan Blair witching?
Yeah, but the lyrics on this song I found strangest were, I am Osama bin Laden. This is testimony admissible in court. That was particularly weird.
Now that we've successfully devolved into an Anthony Fantano comment section, I think it would be
You can't see.
Ladies and gentlemen, Morgan hasn't been drinking.
What are you doing, man? What is with you?
I think personally that this is a great opportunity to go into the truly the penultimate track of the record, Phenomenon.
We rock forever, we stop whenever. 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 We rock forever, we stop whenever.
Shut up! Shut the fuck up! Shut up!
This is the point at which I do become pretty confident that TobyMac is trying to induct me into some kind of cult. Between the Illuminati references on the previous track, between the worryingly hypnotic aspects of this song, and just the generally like strange transcending death theme of this song. I do genuinely feel like I'm slowly being coerced into sacrificing myself for the greater good.
Do you know how much I would respect TobyMac if it turned out that all this time he actually was a member of the Illuminati? and was trying to sneak his messages through his work instead of being an overly preachy Christian. I could only applaud him.
Look, we've really gone through the gauntlet here, and so I want to say that I think "Gotta Go" is actually kind of cute. Like the concept of this song, I kind of appreciate. I like the idea of I just the way that this song is set up structurally, like the way that he's kind of reflecting on, I guess, how much he doesn't want to spend time with anyone in his life.
You know what, man? I fucking get that.
That bit is so fucking funny to me. I love how the whole energy he has throughout this track is, shut the fuck up, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. And it's just great to hear after this whole album of him like indoctrinating and shouting his bullshit at people. And now he's just like, fucking leave me alone. I'm tired. Go.
Pull the curtain back a little bit too far there, Kevin.
It's kind of like a moment of truth. Like it's kind of like a moment where he subtly reveals himself to you in a certain way. This is when
Ben Kingsley speaks in a British accent in Iron Man 3, and you're just like, oh, I've been played.
Yeah, like you realize here that Toby doesn't care about you. Toby doesn't care about anyone. Toby cares about one person, and that's the big G, and that's it. That's all it's about with Toby. And you can either be with that, or you can. There's the fucking door. And I to a certain extent appreciate. I mean, I would if this were the actual ending of the album, frankly. But even that, we don't even get that fucking mercy because we have to endure a fucking. I think maybe we should make slightly more of a big deal of the fact this album ends with the reunion of DC Talk.
Yeah.
Of all things, not even on a posse song made for this, on a fucking remix. And of a remix of Atmosphere, of all the fucking songs of Atmosphere, this fucking sex jam about being Jesus and what?
Why didn't you do stories? That was the point of the song.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I didn't listen to this remix. I thought that was a bonus track. So I didn't.
You know what? Fair.
I can't fault you.
See, here's the thing: the remix is not a remix. It sounds the same. There is nothing different about the production of this song. It sounds the same.
Jail Part 2 type beat.
This album has a frightening amount of similarities with Donda.
I mean, yeah, they are both like self-defeating Christian hip hop records.
The only difference is that TobyMac is married.
There's a few more differences.
The thing about that though is that Kanye wants you to think that he would give his life for Kim Kardashian West, and TobyMac, by the end of this record, has told you essentially that the only person he gives a shit about is God, and everyone else can go fucking jog on.
Even his own son, it's just like, yo, are you gonna make music with me? If not, sorry. Gotta make music about Jesus.
It paints a really funny picture, quite honestly.
And
it's brilliant.
You know, for all the shit we have certainly given this record, it's almost certainly because of nostalgia. But I can't say sitting through this is a chore, even though there are moments that I have been upfront about that I legitimately hate, find annoying, can't stand. But I'll be damned if putting this on does not take me back to being 7 years old and going to the county pool over in Lexington and just sitting in the back seat of a shitty minivan about to get McDonald's and go home and watch the new episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And that is, of course, has nothing to do with the music, but it still does.
Every part of that made me want to kill myself except for Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Go and watch that and then have to endure Gone during the fucking commercial break.
I hated being a kid so much. I didn't have any fucking friends, so.
Well, shall we?
I will say too, this also the best friend that I was exposed to this through is somebody who our parents had a falling out, and I didn't really see him ever again. So there is a bittersweet nostalgia attached to this that connects me to a part of my life that I do miss, which makes this album not an album but a tumor. I don't carry it with me by choice. In many ways, this is the plot to Malignant, but anyway.
Okay. Favorite tracks and ratings for TobyMac's album Welcome to Diversity.
His transgressive art piece.
Let's go in order. Jake.
Do you get it because it sounds like diversity?
Whoa, dude.
Holy shit.
Tyler displaying some Oscar-worthy acting talent here.
Jesus Christ. That hit me
God.
so hard.
Oh, that was good.
I didn't expect a reaction from that at all. So,
Morgan, it's just another reminder that you're so much funnier than you give yourself credit for.
well, it's also because like half the time I say some shit on this podcast, everybody goes, and then Jake goes, which is my bit.
It is 100% your bit. Like most things, I've stolen it from you. Anyway, my 3 favorite tracks.
Stole my virginity.
Jake, what are your 3 favorite tracks?
My 3 favorite track.
Blame TobyMac.
Morgan just out here like, fuck me in the ass about it. Why don't you?
I'm about to hate crime this motherfucker. Go ahead,
like my own virginity, this is gone. No, it's not gone. It's my jokes. We have
the Chad
my 3 favorite
TobyMac,
tracks.
the Virgin Jake.
Yes. My 3 favorite tracks are Atmosphere, Getaway Car, and part of me so wants to include Diversity just to piss off Tyler, but I can't do it. I have to be honest. Is that I'm gonna say I gotta say it's a song I literally have rated negatively, but the slam is just such a fucking heater. And my least favorite is I'm not going to be cheap and say Fresher Than a Night at the W. I'll go for an actual song and say that it's probably Stories. I just don't like that. Like, yeah, I find it condescending, but also musically, it's just completely uninteresting, which the rest of the album skirts along being. And I give the album a generous 4 out of 10.
All right. So my 3 favorite tracks on here are, I got to say Getaway Car.
Hell yeah.
Probably, you know what? Fucking The Slam. Hell yeah. And what else? I guess Ill Am I, if only because it's so bizarre and out there.
Illuminati coming through.
Yeah. Least favorite is, God, it's, yeah, probably Stories down from the bottom. And I'm giving this, where's the rating? Oh, shit. Oh, dear Lord, Trad Kroger, give me a rating on this album. Oh, fuck. Wait, maybe it's all bullshit. Maybe there isn't a Lord, you hand it down to me. My rating of 3 out of 10.
Oh my God.
I wasn't ready.
I have to say this, even if this was the worst, most boring discussion of all time, it was worth it to see August and Tyler's unbridled dedication to the bit.
I grew a pussy just to put my whole of it into this video. I can't show you because that would be
pussy,
weird.
Ma'am.
My least favorite track is a lot. No shit. God damn it. My favorite track is a lot like my virginity in that I wish it was gone. But it's actually probably Atmosphere.
Oh my god.
Followed by Gone. Least favorite. I don't fucking. It's a fucking. I'm spoiled for choice here. I have to tell you, it could be the title track. It could be Stories. It could be the True Dog thing. I don't put your children on your records. Don't do it. Don't fucking do it. It doesn't matter.
R.I.P. True Dog.
I don't know him. Sad that he's dead. That sucks, man. Shouldn't have been on this record because he's a fucking 3-year-old or whatever.
6, actually, at the time. I hate that I know he was born in 1998.
I'm so fucking sorry.
What was your rating, Morgan?
3.
Oh, right. Okay.
I can't do another one like this for at least a year.
Look, it's been a while since we've done something like this, and I have never recommended a fucking whack album before. So let it be known, this is my one time.
Look, I don't mind if we do more bad albums on this segment. In this, fucking, anytime soon. But like, I no more post 9/11 Christian shit. It's hellish. It's a very particular brand
irony.
Of torment, and I can't deal.
My 3 favorite tracks on this project are Gone, The Slam, and yes, I'm going to put it here in my top 3, Catchafire, Whoopsie Daisy. My least favorite track on this album
Taking it from warm to hot.
My least favorite track on this album is obviously, as I made the blunt point of, the title track, although I would closely follow that with Burn For You, which I didn't really communicate my utter loathing of, but because I'd already gone so in depth with Diversity, but that whole vibe of that track and the whole, like, martyrdom thing that Jag mentioned is it makes my skin crawl. And I'm giving the album 3 also. So that brings us to an average of 3.3.
Oh my God.
Let us know if you've heard this record, what it means to you, what you thought of our diatribe, and if you're willing to help pay for the counseling that is now going to be unquestionably necessary, hit us up in the comments below. We also put out a brand new spanking main episode a couple of days ago where we reviewed the new records from Sufjan Stevens and Angelo de Augustine and Poppy. And on Thursday, we will be dropping our latest in the ongoing 1991 retrospective series where we talk about A Tribe Called Quest's The Low End Theory. You do not want to miss that either. And that is about all I have to say about that.
Well, as always, folks, rock over London, rock on Chicago, KFC. It's finger licking good.